Welcome to the show. It's a holiday, man. We're taking it easy. Ain't nothing gonna bring me down. Good evening. Let me start that intro all over again. I'm Hal Sparks. I'll be Hal Sparksing the rest of the evening, and I'll be your Hal Sparks as far as your Hal Sparks needs need to be met, which is quite a lot, quite frankly. And I would like to say for the record that if you're like, who's Hal Sparks? I'm the guy who just put his name in your head, and you won't be able to get it out. And you'll go, oh, wait, Hal Sparks. God damn it. Why can't I get that guy's name out of my head? Because I pulled a Hal Sparks, apparently. That's how I did it. You're watching Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide. Like, subscribe, give a thumbs up, support the show. Patreon.com/Hal Sparks. Week from Friday, we got a wonderful, very exciting flapper show for our Patreon folks. Back to our relatively regular schedule. Last month's show was derailed at Flappers because of the fires. They had a couple staffers who basically lost their apartment, and so they didn't have enough people as everybody was moving or they were trying to bring people in who could run their shifts and stuff. It was pretty terrible. We love Flappers, and so I will be yet again continuing to do my gratis shows there as my way of making sure the club stays solvent and maintains its value as a comedy club. Now, so hit that like, all that stuff. Yada, yada, yada. We have a bunch of stuff to cover today. But first of all, we must say hello to the chat room itself. Hello, chat room. Hello. How are you? Hello. What are you doing? And hello. Lots of stuff to cover. Yes, thank you, Julie, reminding them. Also, we have a Substack. Who's we? I have a Substack. What is royal we shit? I have a Substack called the Hal Sparks Substack Mega Worldwide. And that goes along with the Hal Sparks Podcast Mega Worldwide and the Hal Sparks radio program Mega Worldwide and Hal Sparks Mornings Mega Worldwide. Check them out. Infotainmentwars.com. Subscribe, etc., etc. There, I did it all. Are you proud? Are you happy now? Yeehaw, it's Hal Sparks. I agree. Hello, Arizona Sunflowers. What's happening? What's up, Jerry? What's going on? Hi, Crystal. Good people. Andrea, what's going on? And, of course, our beloved CSL, who has the unfortunate job of combing through clips and trying to find ones that I have not seen myself over the last little bit. Whew, that's a difficult one. But I've been drinking from the fire hose of news lately, and most of my stuff, I will say, is that I've avoided, and I think this is wise, the sort of right-wing media in that I'm going straight to what's actually happening on the ground. So I'm watching a lot of C-SPAN, I'm watching a lot of actual committee hearings, and they are, don't get me wrong, hilarious. And at some point, I may have to go through an entire one, like I used to do the Trump. I would just call them the rallies at a certain point. Anyways, I would do his entire speech, his blather, and do the entire thing end to end. And it was a lot of time. It took, an hour of that takes me, a few hours to cover because there's so many lies and so much BS and so much to cover that I felt like, it's a lot. It's a lot. So like one note shows, but they have value because then you see in the context of everything, you're like, oh, okay, I used to worry that this guy was going to take the world down, and now I realize he can barely pull his pants up. And we're gonna pay a visit to some folks we haven't seen in a little bit today, ladies and gentlemen. Pikeville, Kentucky flood coming up. Yeah, well, I had to check in on all my relatives in Kentucky because of the flooding. It's not good. I think the death toll's up to 8 now, and Trump's like, Bashir asked for federal authority to declare an emergency. Trump said yes, but then blah. Like he's not doing any of the emergency stuff at all. Like right now, there's maybe something if it happened in Florida, he'd give a shit. If he doesn't have a golf property someplace, he's not going to show up. But again, or even pay lip service to giving a shit. He's just kind of passed it off. And is it 10 now? Fuck. Thanks, Lisa. Well, from Cape Town to Pikeville, both black men and white. I used to go to Pikeville for scout jamborees. when I was a kid. So, yeah, I slept on a lot of damp ground around Pikeville. So Alexa says, this is bullshit. People need help. I agree. But I also have to say, I don't know that Trump being involved will help. You know, to some degree, it's almost like his attention fucks stuff up. So if he overlooks a threat or something, it might just let the people. Hi, Nigel. It might just let people get on with working on it, fixing it. You know what I mean? By the way, that was a line from Dark as a Dungeon, which is an old coal mining song. Well, it's dark as a dungeon and damp as the dew, where the danger is double and the pleasures are few. So that's, yeah, good stuff. Anyway, so let's jump in, shall we? As how glitching, or is it just me? Quite frankly, I might be glitchy. Again, it's a holiday, so anything could be happening. Let's jump in and visit a man we haven't seen in a while who doesn't seem to be improving. Ladies and gentlemen, even though he got everything he wanted in the last election, Greg Kelly, still the most miserable man on the internet. I don't know how he manages to do it. It's not even where he's in like sore winner category. He's just a miserable bastard, and that's never going to change. Nothing ever. Can you imagine? Imagine if you and I, if when Obama won, he'd gotten a SCOTUS in the same night, House and Senate, and was able to like have control over this stuff, and like, oh my God, we might be able to get the ACA with a public option just shoved right through because we got everybody, we got everything we want, and we were like, fuck, can you imagine waking up like that every day? That's how he wakes up. Look at his fucking face. Also, drinking? I don't know. He's looking a little puffy. I don't know. Maybe it's we haven't seen him in a bit. Maybe he's just been, overindulging, let's just say. But, and again, we're going to kind of dip into some of these things tonight, quite frankly, because there's a lot to cover. And God damn, I don't need to listen to everything these people have to say, because it's the only one we'll have is, I think I have to jump ahead to the end of one of the other clips because it's so rambly. You'll see what I mean. But let's jump in. This is Greg Kelly. Doge is cleaning up the massive corruption within the government. Okay. Again, no, they're not. They are the currently, they are the corruption in the government. Welcome to like the politics of trust me, bro.
Oh boy, Valentine's Day, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. This is prime time in restaurants all over the place, right? Those forced romantic meals, so-called.
So Greg has to work on Valentine's Day, and it's okay because he doesn't have a date anyways. Nobody, I don't even know if is he still married? Nobody wants to spend Valentine's Day with this fuck. There is not a person on earth. He couldn't third wheel his way into a meal.
I can't stand this day. Guys, you can't come out ahead. You can only come out even.
Speak for yourself, asshole. I've come out ahead more often than not. It's so naughty. I don't should I even... Like, I don't know, I'm always kind of done. I've always had a pretty, Valentine's Day is pretty good, you know? I don't even know how to venture into discussing how successful I've been on Valentine's Day over the course of my life. Probably more than I certainly materially deserve if you based it entirely just on my height and looks. But, again, it's about effort, ladies and gentlemen. It's about caring. It's about putting in, it is what you do with it. Except when it's Greg, in which case anything he does is bad.
On this phony, it's not even a holiday. You don't even get the day off.
It's a holiday. Yeah, it is a holiday. It's just the stuff isn't a holiday just because you get the day off. Stupid. That's just miserable. This is great.
What I think of these days, and by the way, this is not a red tie. This is orange and maroon. Has nothing to do. It's not in honor of Valentine's Day.
Little defensive. Yeah, I mean, honestly, who are you arguing with?
Who remembers when Joe Biden set up the Garden of Love in front of the White House? Remember that nonsense? Oh, God.
Yeah, it was a reference to those little candy hearts you get. It was cute. Yeah. I mean, I certainly didn't stay up at night grinding my teeth. I mean, you know what, Greg? I gotta be honest. I think they did this just to fuck with you.
Gosh, it was all to create a contrast between him and Donald Trump, right? He's Mr. Empathy and Love, and Donald Trump was the meanest guy in the world. What a dark nightmare that was.
Yeah, I tormented by it. Also, the big kind of like weird jingoistic action movie theme song just constantly playing really loud. Can you shut that off? Can you? Seriously, it's a dick move.
And it's over. The White House did acknowledge Valentine's Day today in a rather unique way. Happy Valentine.
Yeah, in a weird, bigoted, mean-spirited way. I mean, again, I just love the fact that those two are together. And two really shit pictures of Homan and Trump. So
Day with a card from Donald Trump and Tom Homan. What does that say exactly? Roses are red, violets are blue. Come here illegally and we'll deport you. I love it. I love it. It totally beats that stupid Garden of Love in the front lawn of the White House. Ooh.
Yes, which was apparently aimed at couples in America. Also, that's your first time seeing that asshole? It's part of your show. Did you ever get the feeling like Greg's show is like about the people in the booth punking him with shit, just like making him read in public?
Circa Joe Biden 2021. All right, right now, who remembers, who's old enough to remember? Probably none of us, quite frankly. Harry S. Truman. I mean, we may have been alive when he was president, some of us, but do you really
Were you?
remember him? He was made famous.
Well, no.
He was considered at the time a crummy president, and then in 1992 or so, a guy named McCullough wrote the book about Truman, and it
changed everything. It was nobody even knew that he was president. Greg, what are you talking about?
somewhat rehabilitated.
By the way, Truman's one of the reasons I became a Freemason. True story. He's he's a good guy. It was his deference to the worshipful master in his lodge in, I believe, in Indiana. Is it Indiana or how? Indiana? When he was on a whistle stop tour, he went to lodge, and the new worshipful master in the lodge was black. He was a janitor at a local high school, and when Truman came in, he was sitting president at the time. When Truman came in, the guy kept calling him Mr. President. He goes, no. He goes, here in the lodge, you're the only person of reverence, worshipful master. I'm just Brother Harry. And so that was a huge moment in the history of that lodge and in the history of modern Freemasonry, too, where he specifically made the point of a sitting president of the United States being respectful inside lodge to a black man who was the worshipful master of the lodge. So I love that story, and it's true. It's a true story.
Him, and people thought, you know what, maybe he wasn't so bad after all. He was actually clean as a whistle, a true believer in America, got some
so very unlike Trump is what you're saying.
Good things done, and he said some really wise things like this: you can't get rich in politics unless you're a crook.
Right. And Trump came in when he was president, he was in debt to the tune of like $1.8 billion, and now he's made a bunch of money. A lot of it after he got almost the vast majority of it after he won the election this time with the promises that he made to the donors that showed up at Mar-a-Lago. Yeah.
Joe Biden and all that stuff that he got.
What, the book revenue? The dude's worth $21 million.
Wow. How about Nancy Pelosi? How much money does she make?
Oh, and by the way, if I may, this is my Harry Truman buck stops here, because I got this at the Truman Museum. Isn't that cool? I have that right on my desk up here on that thing. Yeah. Isn't that cool? All right.
$174,000 a year. She's worth $250 million.
Yeah, but it's her and her husband. And the stock market has just done that during that time. Even if you just sat on it she's been there for a long fucking time. And she wrote a book. And again, the myriad of reasons why that's not as big a deal. Now, it's a lot of money, absolutely. And she pays taxes on it, unlike Trump.
How about this Samantha Power we're becoming familiar with? She was the head of USAID on $183,000 a year. Now she's worth $30 million.
No. Just fucking gross. This and you know what? Faces like that make it so that I'm not shocked at all that you don't have a date on Valentine's Day, you skeevy bastard. Samantha Power was worth somewhere between $21 and $24 million when she got the job. She took a cut in pay and went on a sabbatical from Harvard. She was making like $500,000 at Harvard because she was a former UN ambassador who then was teaching there. She made $500,000 a year at Harvard teaching, right? And she took a step down in pay to run USAID. Her net worth, this is her and her husband together. I'll show you. Hold on. Let's see. Samantha Power's net worth. Yeah, here you go. Well, this is the thing. Former USAID Administrator Samantha Power's net worth skyrocketed from $6.7 million to $30 million in 3 years. That's the story. False. Before becoming USAID Administrator in 2021, Samantha Power reported a net worth of $10 million to $29.5 million, which is like the amount she's worth now, and if she cashed out all of her investments. Her term ended in 2025, so 4 years. Power's assets include compensation benefits from Harvard, which is $500,000 a year, capital gains from Social Capital Partnership LLC, multiple book royalties. She has 3 books. They're all, multi, they're all New York Times bestsellers, and honoraria from speaking engagements, which is the least amount of money she makes. Power's solely owned assets decreased while she was Power's solely owned assets decreased while she was in the USAID job, and her financial disclosures show that when her assets, including her investments, were combined with her spouse's, their value remained fairly consistent throughout her term. They went into it. She filed a thing. Her financial disclosures, and here you go, January 2021. This is her financial disclosure. This is executive branch personnel public financial disclosure report. Where is it? Yeah, Vanguard Federal Money Market. She has money and savings somewhere between 100 and 250 because it's across two. It's her versus her husband, or together. A Vanguard thing like this, 50 to 100, which is like how much you could sell it for today versus how much it's worth if you just sit on it or during your term, those kind of things. They do that. And then Society Capital Partnership, she has it's like an investment fund they have money in. And then, where is it? It's way down here. Or maybe it's up here. Hold on. Harvard, where's your, okay. Bloomberg, she got a $250,000 income per year as a columnist writing for Bloomberg. And then she made $500,000 working at Harvard teaching. So $750,000 a year. She's got like a stock of holdings of $1 million to $5 million, depending on whether you sell them or whether you get out or whatever. And then, where is it? U.S. Bank, I'm trying to find that's her actual assets. And then Vanguard total, it'll be up here. Where's her? Is it like that's a nice living from Harvard, I gotta say. But yeah, so she got some of her books made a lot of money, some of her books made very little, but she wrote a bunch of them, and she gave speeches around those books, which is partly where this came from as well. That's the honorarium. There's the Society of Palo Alto. There it is, Harvard. This is like she has arranged during her time at Harvard, like that when she takes a break, she will go. So I will continue to participate in the D-line contribution retirement plan. So she will still have those holdings, but the university will not make any contributions during her leave as the head of USAID. Control F is my friend. Thank you, Peter Reed. Good point. Hold on. Control F. Where would that be? Okay. Let's see. Let's go to Harvard. 10 of 29. There we go. Yeah, Harvard salary. There it is. Look at this. Beep. Hold on. There you go. Her Harvard salary, $471,167. Salary and summer research stipends. That's her primary thing. So, again, she's been working there. She was UN ambassador. She's been working there for a long time. They invest their money. Their bills are paid. She wrote for Bloomberg, got $250,000 while she's working at Harvard. So she's pulling in $750 a year. So what? She's keeping 500 of that, maybe. Altogether, if they take every single exemption, and she had the same amount of money when she came in. Now look at this lie. Look at this lie. Look at this fucking creep and his weird lip. And understand. I just want to point out the extraordinary nature of this lie. Okay, she made $183,000. The Harvard continued to pay into her thing. She sat on the money she had, and her husband continued to work. That's it. She didn't get any money from USAID's accounts or anything like that. It's fine. A woman achieving that level of success, being UN ambassador, end up running USAID, is a qualified human being. Fine. Sorry, Crystal. Was it Greg's face? I apologize. So let me, just to clarify what an asshole he is.
Now, you know, this even applies to politicians who come from old money. They're the worst. George W. Bush. Do you know this?
Look at that. We all agree with Greg. Yeah, I would say he's the worst, but he's definitely up there.
Spoiled brat bitched and moaned about, ladies and gentlemen, making only $400,000 a year. For him, that wasn't enough. From 2001 to 2009, this guy made $400,000 a year, and he moaned.
Now, you can see why Greg is upset, because Greg sat on gum on the bus today on his way to work, and when he got to work, somebody was sitting in the easy chair he bought off of Temu.
On his way out the door, he sits down with a friendly interviewer, and he says his plan is this: I'll give some speeches just to replenish the old coffers, the president told Draper. Yeah, because he's got to make up for all the money he wasn't making as president, $400,000 a year. It's kind of gross, isn't it? And it's...
Hold on. You're trying to do this in support of Donald Trump palling around with Elon Musk? Trump didn't even... first of all, he's not even bullshitting about giving his salary this time. Did you notice that? No talk of this time. None. Does that strike you as odd? That Trump, have you heard during this time around, I'm going to donate my salary again?
So great.
Oh, sorry, Alvin. I try to warn you guys, but I freeze frame it, and sometimes he's just, he's like one of those ugly dogs. You know, the Bill the Cat looking dogs. I don't know why he does that. It's fucking nasty.
As being just used as a disinfectant all over the place.
You might need a disinfectant, considering Elon Musk's kid wiped a booger on the fucking desk right there, and Trump was like, that looks tasty.
I love this arrangement. The Musk thing with President Trump and This was an iconic moment, and if you missed it, you got to watch it from beginning to end.
Yeah, especially where the kid goes, "Shut up, you're not the real president."
But this people getting rich in government, it's a thing.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million?
Oh, yeah. Again, he's talking about Samantha Powers. That he's talking about this. He's telling the same lie that this is a lie. This is tell that lie you were telling me that I don't know is fake. Say that again.
Right.
Etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have it.
You're just going to lie anyways. Spit it the fuck out. Spit it the fuck out.
Ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow managed to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is, what happened at USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from.
No, it didn't happen at USAID. Mr. Math fucking genius. None of it did. It was already listed in 2021 when she signed up for the job. And she, unlike this dipshit, put all of her investments in a holding pattern so they wouldn't be affected by her decisions while she was at USAID. I'm not quite sure how they would, unless she had a big investment in Red Cross or some shit. This is just a blatant, weak, pathetic lie attacking a woman in power. This is yet another attempt at I guess declaring Samantha Powers a DEI hire or something.
Really good question, huh? And
yeah, it'd be a great question if you didn't actually have access to the database and her financial disclosure forms and the records. So you're like, oh, what is that? And then you go, oh, that's what that is. And then you go, somebody give me a fucking frying pan so I can hit myself in the head with it. Because at a certain point, let's see if that's
You lied to me.
Yeah, you can just do that to yourself.
it happens all throughout the government. I am
No, it doesn't.
so happy about Doge. This is our daily Doge. This is great. This is what
Jesus Christ. You try more macho music, asshole. You guys know I have this fucking thing. All right, there is no way that Greg Kelly listens to anything but like B-side yacht rock. Like he's that dude who at a concert or at a barbecue when there's a heavy song playing comes up and goes, "It's cool, isn't it?" Just get the fuck away from me, you twerp.
we've been waiting for. Even before Trump, people always wanted the government to do something like this. And you see how Musk fashions himself? He is a guy from tech support. You know, where you work, you got a guy from tech support. Well, that's how he sees himself, volunteer tech support.
Yeah, why would you worry about that? You know, some random dude volunteers to do tech support at your house. Why wouldn't you just let him have access to your hard drive? Look, all I ask is if anybody wants to do volunteer tech support, I'm open to it, but you got to give me your PIN number. And as soon as I check your PIN number, and your and your debit card number, as soon as I have that, then you can look at my hard drive. I feel like, then it's even, right? But if some dude like knocked on your door and was like, "Hey, can I have a moment alone with your Wi-Fi setup?" You'd go, "Get the fuck off my porch, you creep."
And he wears it on his shirt wherever he goes, big conference or the Oval Office. He's got this shirt on that says tech
Yeah, he's a douchebag. That's how it works.
support. Like he's a guy down the hall who's going to help you out with your issues, your problems.
Yeah, who's going to follow you into the bathroom?
Do a little bit of accountability, accounting here and there, and it's working.
Yeah, accounting here and there. Is it working? Yeah. So we got $7 trillion budget, $2 trillion deficit, $36 trillion debt. What have they found? $180 million worth of stuff? Jesus Christ. Well, sir, you have catastrophic heart failure, a brain worm. You need your appendix out, and you have boils all over your skin. But we've got the hangnail covered. I don't want you to sweat the hangnail.
And it's contagious. Other people from throughout the government. Lee Zeldin, the new EPA chief, this guy found $20 billion being misspent.
Okay, by the way, misspent. That's a word you're going to hear. According to every administration, any money spent by the last administration is misspent. Of course you think it's misspent. Dude, you think everything for education, you think everything the Department of Education does is misspent. You can find fucking $50 billion because it's misspent. And again, hold on, let me see. Obviously, look, you and I both know I don't have to look this up. We can just look at the graphic and it tells us everything we need to know. Let's see. Lee Zeldin, guy who was attacked with a fucking key ring and by one of his own supporters. Let's see, 20 billion misspent. Oops, I can type. EPA Director Zeldin exposes Biden tossed $20 billion of gold bars off the Titanic. Okay, this is the vows to recover $20 billion tossed by the Environment Administration. It was put into an account to be distributed on stuff that was put out. Okay, yeah, okay, I know what this is. Hold on. Yeah. Biden's EPA issued $20 billion in green grants. Now Trump's administration wants that money back. While Joe Biden was president of the United States, he acted as president of the United States. What he did during that presidency was his right as president of the United States. They issued these through his EPA, which he has directive over, and they just want to claw back shit they don't agree with. What'd I say? In a major reversal, the new head of the Environmental Protection Agency said he will try to rescind $20 billion in grants awarded by the Biden administration for climate and clean energy projects. In a video posted on X, he said contracts for the still emerging Green Bank that is set up to fund tens of thousands of projects to fight climate change and promote environmental justice. The program approved under the 2022 Inflation Reduction Act, which is again in the fucking, it's a law, is formally known as the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund, but is more commonly called the Green Bank. Two initiatives worth $14 billion and $6 billion, respectively, are intended to offer competitive grants to nonprofits, community development banks, and other groups for projects with a focus on disadvantaged communities. The program is favored by Democrats who passed Joe Biden's signature climate law without a single Republican vote, and former EPA Administrator Michael Regan, I'm allergic to bullshitting. Frequently cited it as one of his major accomplishments. Republicans in Congress have called the Green Bank a slush fund and voiced concerns over how okay, so misspent, fuck off. Childish, stupid, and dumb, and exactly what I told you it was.
$20 billion. That's not a lot of money. There are people who will say that's not a lot of money. It is an astounding amount of money. They found...
Right, spread over hundreds of grants.
Found over at the Housing and Urban Development Department, $1.9 billion of money that was just hanging around, misplaced. It was lost. And Elon Musk loved it.
Loved it. He loved it. He cradled it. He gave it a reach around. He loved that money. What?
Placed. It was lost. And Elon Musk loved it. He points out that it's astounding how much taxpayer money can be saved, even with a small amount of effort. And
real quick,
that was just
$1.9 billion HUD. Okay, $1.9 billion HUD program, Musk, something like that. Okay, Doge says it dug up another $1.9 billion in taxpayer money misplaced. by the Biden administration. They used the word misplaced in a bunch of places. Just the News covered it that way. Misplaced, they called it on Housing Wire. Due to a flawed system under former President Joe Biden's administration. Doge says it recovered. Housing Wire, Fox News. Department of Government Efficiency has recovered 1.9 misplaced. Collaborated on this thing. Recovers lost taxpayer money. The government. Let's see. I'll see if I can bring this down here. Boop. $1.9 billion mystery solved. Allegedly misplaced by Biden administration. Doge finds and recovers lost taxpayer money. The Department of Efficiency tasked with eliminating wasteful spending announced on Friday that it had recovered $1.9 billion that the former U.S. president allegedly misplaced. Again, this is an attempt to make it look like there was active failures or whatever in this thing. Okay, the funds originally allocated to the Department of Human Housing and Urban Development had been earmarked for Financial Services Administration, but were no longer needed due to procedural inefficiencies. $1.9 billion of HUD money was just recovered after being misplaced during the Biden administration due to broken process. These funds were earmarked for the administration of financial services, but were no longer needed. The HUD Secretary Scott Turner worked alongside Doge to rectify the issue, leading to the de-obligation of the funds, which have now been made available for other uses by the U.S. Treasury. The announcement comes a day after. We will be very detailed and deliberate about every dollar spent in serving tribal, rural, and urban communities across America, Turner said, and what isn't being spent, I think, is really what it is. Zeldin further revealed the EPA had sent $160 million to a Canadian electric bus manufacturer, which has since declared bankruptcy. The entire amount was provided up front rather than being distributed as school buses were produced, raising concerns over financial mismanagement. Okay, whatever. Again, you want to just go toe to toe with money that Trump has allocated. Also, anybody want to put a dollar amount on the value of the details, the information, the private information of Americans that Elon Musk is getting access to? What do you think that's worth on the open market if you had to pay for it? Access to everybody's taxes, everybody's healthcare records. What do you think that's worth?
Hanging around, misplaced. It was lost. And Elon Musk.
It wasn't. It was obligated to a program, and the program didn't exist, so it gets de-obligated. It goes through the next cycle. So the next, like Congress, if they actually did their fucking job, or the Oversight Committee, if they weren't busy looking at Hunter Biden's cock, would have found this stuff.
Musk loved it. He points out that it's astounding how much taxpayer money can be saved, even with a small amount of effort. And
you're not saving it. You're going to spend it someplace else. I mean, that's literally what the article says. They're not going to save it. They're going to spend it elsewhere. They're just not going to spend it there. They're not going to use it for, financial services for low income folks or tribal loans or I don't know, mortgage assistance for impoverished people. They're just going to spend it someplace else. They're not saving it.
Consider this. This is all based in the swamp, the Beltway, Washington, D.C.
Yes, and also names of the
and
place.
It is overwhelmingly pro-Democrat. Look at how they vote there. Kamala Harris got what?
Hold on. Sorry, the Capitol's in Washington, fuckwad. This has nothing to do with how the locals voted. Sorry, do you think the Congress signs off on bills based on the electorate of the city of Washington, D.C.? Huh?
92% of the vote. The bureaucrats overwhelmingly.
Huh? Hold on. First of all, a big portion of the bureaucrats that you're talking about don't live in D.C. proper. They have offices there, but they live in fucking Virginia or Maryland because they can have more land in bigger places. What's the idea? Are you saying that K Street pays their rent with these kind of things?
Work and serve. The bureaucrats work for Democrats. Take a look at how Elon Musk actually frames it. Yes, the bureaucracy is overwhelmingly geared to serve the Democratic Party.
Well, I would say the Democratic Party is geared to serve the American people. And when they do the spending that they do, it goes out to human beings. Republicans are geared to give tax breaks to people like Elon Musk. Tax breaks, by the way, he doesn't need. He will never be able to spend a fifth of the money that he has. And half of it will be worthless in a decade.
You gotta watch that speech. That's an iconic one. Some of the networks ignored it. It was 30 minutes.
Speech? It's prattle. I watched the whole fucking thing, dummy.
Long earlier, February 11th.
Wait a minute. That's the takeaway? It's that important, and this is your takeaway. This is what you want. This is the crucial detail you want people to know, that it was nearly 30 minutes long. What? Why is the nearly not in red? You're just trying to make it like, oh my God, he spoke for 30 minutes. Yeah, and Trump sat there like a fucking lump the whole time going, I am vice president. This is, holy shit, the kid is right. And then, oh my God, that kid's picking his nose. Holy God, he's wiping that booger on my desk. I hope he doesn't eat it because I want it later.
11th, find it, enjoy it. You may never, we'll never hear a speech like this outside the Trump administration. Who knows? Maybe.
But yeah, because no other White House would have the richest guy in the world come in and go and give a half-hour ramble about how they're the one actually running the fucking government, you weirdo. Why would anyone want that?
This will change everything, but you really have to savor this one. Let's see. Our friend Christopher Rufo, they're looking at the Department of Education right now. USAID money, $8 million went to this nonprofit to fund anti-white racism.
Really? They directed to this? Like, we're only going to give you this money if you produce some anti-white racism. What do you think the odds are that they gave it to them because they do a bunch of stuff and you pick something that they do that you don't like and you're like, that's where all the money went?
Which comes, as it often
I like the design,
does, from liberal white people.
If we think about the idea that the system was created, in particular, the system was created by white men for white men to have and maintain and build power and resources for themselves. And in particular, I'm talking about resources of wealth.
An identity, a social position. Whiteness is an identity and a social position. A cultural system, so cultural whiteness, which, by the way, I gotta say, all of this shit is ridiculous. Doesn't help. Hasn't convinced anybody. Academic claptrap that allows this is reverse racism people to have something to run with. It's almost like they only do it so that there can be fucking like videos like made on TikTok about it. Fucking lame.
We see that, right?
Right, we totally right, see that? Yeah, Valley Girl. What else did you find there?
Valley Girl? What?
Becky?
Good Lord. You should maybe think before your face makes a noise, Greg. Maybe.
And then what we're seeing, in the country with people not only defending their whiteness, but like really violently fighting for the maintenance of white supremacy.
Remember, whiteness, you're supposed to be ashamed of it. It's white privilege. You got to put it down. You got to apologize. No, we don't. Not anymore. That is.
Yeah, you're right, Greg. The fact that you're white is the least concerning thing about you. I think your weird lip smacking and your bloviated bullshit and your kind of disgruntled human stuff way outpaces the fact that you are pale. Also, I'd like to say for the record, as somebody who is white, I'm offended I'm actually not offended. I'm kidding. I don't get offended. Offended is on behalf of someone else. I'm insulted by this. I find it insulting, especially as somebody who grew up my whole life to be taught that everybody's equal regardless of their skin color. Our generation focused on that kind of thing. So these people are like late to the game and trying to show off to somebody else and random. But all it ever does is just stoke libs of TikTok videos and stuff. It's almost like it was only fuel for that. And you could argue that if USAID spent money making this shit happen, it was like it was allocated by the Trump administration so that they'd have something to go, see, I told you, they just don't like white people.
Such vile nonsense. And Elon again points out that crazy video, so many situations like this, USAID, government money going to fund that crazy anti-democratic, anti-American propaganda designed to rot this country from within.
Or there's an organization that does stuff for like equal rights on a bunch of different fronts, legal issues, advocacy, financial support, all these other things. And they also have these little powwows about this stuff that maybe go off the rails or go far beyond the whole purpose. So you fixate on that part so you can eliminate all the good things they might do. That's a possibility, too.
And this is contagious, folks. This is catching like wildfire. Corporate America, they're fired up. I mean, even educators, some of them are like, you know what? Maybe we can push back in a good way against the woke ideology. You ever hear of Congressman Mark Green, Tennessee, I believe? Neither have I, but he's great.
Neither have I, but he's great. He's on the House Foreign Affairs Committee, so he's going to really deal with America.
I saw firsthand their willful refusal to protect this country. Under the guise of foreign aid, USAID has been an unapologetic front for a far-left agenda. It has been...
Dun, dun, dun! It has been protecting the lives of gay people in countries where their lives may be not worth so much and they might end up getting killed. And I am offended by that.
Become self-evident. There weren't a handful of foolish policies, but rather a coordinated strategy.
You know why Greg likes this guy? Anybody know? Anybody know why Greg likes this guy? Because he's looking down. He's reading like this. It's just like Greg. I saw firsthand.
Of radical, idiotic, and often anti-American priorities. Idiotic, you say? Millions?
Yes, idiotic.
To teach Moroccans how to make pottery? The Moroccans were making pottery before we were a country. This entire debate today and the crocodile tears.
How many millions? Sorry, millions for Moroccan pottery. This should be good. Millions for Moroccan pottery. USAID, I guess. So there's a pottery class. Let's see. The USAID began a $30 million four-year plan to help increase the economic competitiveness of Morocco. This would be only Washington would. Here you go. Yeah, this is it. Only Washington would politicians spend $27 million to teach Moroccans how to make pottery. Mostly false. Okay. Would politicians? Okay about it. The race to fill retiring U.S. Senator Saxby Chambliss' seat is in full swing with candidates on both sides of the aisle jockeying for early position. Former Secretary of State Karen Handel has taken this topic to another level. Only in Washington, she puts this out. Handel is planning to chronicle 42 ridiculous things that happen only in Washington. For example, Day's Aid is only in Washington could politicians spend $27 million to teach Moroccans how to make pottery. While Morocco is no doubt a lovely place, we have families in Georgia that are being hurt by high taxes, fueling out-of-control spending. What's worse is the program was deemed a failure, she continued. Almost $30 million for pottery classes in a country sounded outrageous. We decided to dig a little deeper. Why bother? A press release accompanying each day's item includes sources that Handel's team has used to make the statements. From the day 8 item, the sources include a couple of news stories about the spending of Handel's spokesman that Handel's spokesman provided. The claim has been repeated by politicos before, including conservative commentator and guy who had to pay $32 million to a woman to keep her quiet because whatever he did to her was so awful it cost more than $30 million to get her to shut up about it. Barf, barf. Earlier this year, PolitiFact was constantly into this claim as a portion of a three-part statement made by the congressman. Much of the background about this claim originated from a similar aggregation of alleged wasteful federal government spending done by Tom Coburn. Each year, the Republican senator of Oklahoma releases an oversight report of unnecessary, duplicative, and low-priority projects spread around through federal government in a document called The Waste Book. This is also something that Rand Paul does. It's the same shit. And it's oftentimes the same things. And so we get to hear the same shit 3, 4, 5 times. Wastebook 2012 highlights the pottery classes as an example of wasteful spending, but notes that only part of the $27 million of the U.S. Agency Fund for International Development project went towards the classes. In 2009, USAID began a $30 million 4-year plan to help increase the economic competitiveness of Morocco. The plan includes 5 projects, with Morocco Economic Competitive Project, accounting for $27 million, or 90% of the overall plan. The competitive project, scheduled to run through September 30th, 2013, initially included a provision for a $7 million 1-year extension. But because of anticipated budget cuts, a change in mission strategy complications with the task order and poor implementation of some activities, is unlikely the project will be extended, according to a December 2011 report. The initial goals of the project were to improve the country's business climate, work on ways to use water sustainably for agricultural growth, and strengthen workforce development. A key part of the project including training Moroccans to create pottery to sell domestically as well as internationally. But the pottery program was riddled with problems, the audit found. For example, a translator hired to translate the instructions from an English-speaking pottery trainer to Arabic-speaking attendees was not fluent in English, which resulted in communication breakdowns. Also, some of the materials used by the pottery trainer were unavailable in Morocco. I guess they haven't been making shit. Yeah, and again, this is stuff that they've been talking about this for a long fucking time. Elon Musk didn't fucking discover this. This is not new. If you'll notice, all this shit, this was part of a fucking 2009, a 2011, 2012 bitching, and it didn't continue. It ended. All these assholes are going back through stuff that was either temporary, already halted, many of it by the Biden or the Obama administration. Ultimately, the audit found that the pottery portion of the competitiveness project was poorly implemented, had limited impact, and its intended focus on women and youths was not fulfilled. In November of 2011, response letter, USAID Morocco's mission director characterized the pottery training as a minor activity within the competitiveness project. The pottery training portion of the project represents only a part of the project's engagement in the country's pottery sector. In fiscal 2011, the component accounted for 8% of the annual project spending, the mission director wrote. Which was, again, it had a $27 million, so 8% of that. The former, so probably $2 million. And change. Former candidate said that the federal government spent $27 million teaching Moroccans how to make pottery. This claim has been a popular touchstone. Right? It's horseshit. It's just repeated, lazy, stupid bullshit. And by the way, yet another. I'm moving the goalpost. How am I moving the goalpost? Back into position where it actually should be instead of putting it midfield where they want it. Yes, I am moving the goalpost. I'm moving it to the end zone where it fucking belongs. And again, the whole purpose of this is, oh my God, look at this is the Doge report. Remember this motherfucker started this thing with the whole, like, we're doing a Doge thing. And he had Doge theme of Doge and Doge, the Daily Doge, right? He's playing the Daily Doge. And what is he citing as the Daily Doge? A Samantha Powers comment that Elon Musk makes in a half-hour speech. That's the one thing he pulls, and it's a lie. And then he pulls this motherfucker who's bringing up something from a decade ago, over a decade ago, as something like, oh my God, Elon Musk is so smart. We should give him access to all of our programs. Like, Jesus Christ. These have been around for a long time. As a matter of fact, a bunch of these assholes either weren't even in Congress when it was voted down or ended.
From Democrats just goes to show what's wrong with this town. Not a single Democrat I've heard has expressed dismay at the many examples of crazy, wasteful spending. I don't understand the objection to a deep dive in how we spend our money. But
I don't either. That's your job. Actually, this is the Foreign Affairs Committee, so maybe USAID would fall into this. This makes sense. But here's the problem. I don't give a shit if Musk deep dives into the auditable books of the federal government. There's a whole fucking website that shows what shit is spent on. I do have a problem with him getting unfettered access to everybody's social security number. Stop straw manning this bullshit. Fuck off. I don't care. Fucking Clinton had a similar program to Doge where they were going to go through this. See if I can find this for you. Let's see. Clinton and Gore government efficiency committee. I don't know what it was then. Let's see where this G7 jobs conference. 93. Yeah, here you go. Check this out real quick.
We're very pleased that Congressman John Conyers and Senator Bill Roth are here, the two leaders who have really pushed this bill forward. This is an important milestone, and this legislation, which the President is about to make into law, will be one of the centerpieces of the effort to transform the way government works in our country. This will put us on the road towards something called performance measurement. That sounds like a technical phrase, but it's a very revolutionary change compared to...
And by the way, it is specifically why Clinton and Gore had a surplus at the end of their presidency.
What we do now. We now measure what goes into the budget, not what comes out in the form of services and performance. This will help to change that. It will set up a series of pilot programs and will pave the way for the dramatic series of changes that the President will call upon the country to make this fall when the National Performance Review has been completed. This is the beginning of a...
I know what you're thinking. Oh my God, I don't understand how he didn't become president. Good Lord, lightning. But...
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, when I took this office with a real determination to engage in what we've come to call reinventing government around here, it was really encouraging to me to see that there were members of the Congress who had been examining these questions for years and seriously trying to address them. I want to say a special word of thanks to Senator Glenn in his absence and to Senator Roth, to my friend Congressman Conyers and Congressman Klinger, and the other members who have worked so hard to try to put us on the road to seriously re-examining how this government works. It is important to restore the confidence of the American people in their government. It is important because to the extent that our government works with greater efficiency and effectiveness and less unnecessary cost, it will strengthen the American economy.
Okay, so you guys get this. He signed the RIGO, which was the Government Performance and Results Act. And this, so nobody has a fucking problem with doing this kind of stuff. As a matter of fact, the Doge thing, you could argue, is a ripoff of the RIGO bill, except that was actual legislation. Meanwhile, this dipshit is apparently unaware that the things he's complaining about were shut down a long time ago and thinks that just because he's heard it just now because he hasn't been paying attention, that Elon Musk must have discovered this shit, even though, like I showed you before, what he brought up about this Moroccan pottery shit has been in multiple speeches by Congress people for over a decade and a half, leading up to its elimination, and then of course afterwards as an example of bad spending, right? But this asshole, I seriously think this guy, Green from, is he from Tennessee? And Greg Kelly, both of these dumb motherfuckers think Elon Musk discovered this. This is the single dumbest thing about this part of it, is that, and nobody has a problem with overspending and again, arts programs and that kind of stuff are a matter of opinion about their worth. I happen to think they matter. Republicans clearly think they don't. Our relationship with other countries and our cultural exchange with those people and people who live in this country who travel back and forth, and the kind of cultural exchange stuff that we give money to, through USAID and others on the smaller scale is not a big deal, right? Compared to the greater debt. But making all this noise about a fucking hangnail while somebody is having a massive coronary, and brain swelling and appendicitis and boils is not, it's inserious, I would say.
Perhaps it's the fact that over the last several weeks, a massive surge has occurred in the search for a criminal defense attorney. That probably says it all. 5 times in this city, any other city in the nation.
Huh? Sorry. What happened?
It's the fact that over the last several weeks, a massive surge has occurred in the search for a criminal defense attorney.
Oh, I see. So a bunch of people are apparently trying to hire criminal defense attorneys all of a sudden. Again, sounds like politics and bullshit. I don't honestly, I haven't seen a story about any of that. He seems to be talking out of his ass. This seems to be more of an accusation than something, but okay.
That probably says it all. 5 times in this city, any other city in the nation.
So 5 times more people are looking for a criminal defense attorney in Washington, D.C. Oh, you mean all like the Jan 6ers who are going back to jail?
That's interesting. They can actually track that, who's Googling what. And they're lawyering up in Washington, D.C. I think this is fabulous. Keep going, Congressman Green.
Also, wait a minute. First of all, that I don't get that that's what he said at all. But you're happy with the idea that the government can track what people are Googling. Is that what you're going for? All right.
I'd like to remind the committee that President Kennedy unilaterally created USID through an executive order in 1961. Yet the President Trump, orders a momentary pause after winning a mandate for reform.
No, didn't win a mandate. 78 to 75 isn't a mandate.
And Democrats cry, constitutional crisis. This is after 4 years of reckless spending and unrepentant lawlessness from the Biden administration.
Sorry, Trump's responsible for almost a third of the national debt. Just saying.
I want the American people to understand how this works in Washington. As long as you're spending other people's money, no one bats an eye. But
sorry. So the reason this went out the door is not because Democrats wanted it, but because Republicans didn't do anything about it till this point.
The second you want to save taxpayer dollars, the swamp cries wolf, or in this case, unprecedented constitutional crisis.
Well, yeah, it's not, again, nobody gives a shit about the spending, dummy. We've had a bill like this before. An actual bill that passed actual Congress, which, by the way, is still, insofar as I know, the law. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Let's see. Rigo Act, Clinton. Let's do with that. Doge government work recalls Clinton administration's Rigo initiative. There you go. All right. Yeah, there you go. Doge, meet Rigo. 32 years before Elon Musk, Al Gore reinvented government. Let's see. Back in the 1880s. Remembering Rigo. There we go. Department of Government Efficiency, or Doge, right? Which is fake. Rigo is a real law. Reinventing government. Rigo. That would be the. Drain the swamp. Culling the federal workforce. This is what it did. Then, as now, the plan was to take a holistic look at government and recommend changes to improve how taxpayer dollars are spent, including culling the federal workforce, cutting regulations, and more. In September 7th, 1993, Bill Clinton and Vice President Al Gore present a report on increasing government efficiency as part of Clinton's charge of reinventing government. That's this right here. And it's showing you all the like the regulations and all this other stuff. They were making a point about this. Nobody has a problem with any of this shit. I don't have a problem with this. Do you? The problem I have is with this motherfucker and his weird non-governmental employees being able to break into private information, the private information of every American. That's it. Nobody gives a shit about the cuts in government. And also, when it comes to something like USAID, the kind of like blind shutting down all of it instead of actually going through it with a fine-tooth comb, just like stopping it all of a sudden and fucking up people who are counting on it, especially like those people who need food. I'm not impressed. Your Christianity sucks. You're terrible at it. You needed a bullish win so much that you were willing to starve people or deny them medical aid so that you could cull a couple of like $120 million from a $40 billion program? How is that efficient? How is that proof that you are going through it with a fine-tooth comb and looking over everything? It sounds like you're just grinding to a halt and you only turn on the stuff that when people are harmed right away.
This breathless, fake outrage from the left is utterly insane.
Also, it's not fake outrage. They actually give a shit about the people being harmed by this. Stupid.
And you know what the American people, they can see right through it.
Can they see right through the fact that the Moroccan pottery thing you brought up was from 2009?
Generosity of Americans and the blessing of giving aid to others has always been one of our most valuable tools for diplomacy.
Which is why you don't want somebody to just come in and shut it all off just to make a fucking point.
American people have a proud history of championing aid to our fellow man, but lawless...
Right, which is why if you're going to pare that back, then you've got a giant team. You have the entire federal government at your disposal. You have a committee in Congress and a committee in the Senate that's named after your whole Doge approach. So roll up your fucking sleeves and figure this shit out. Don't just cut off everybody and go, I don't really care if somebody dies during the process. If you're not getting aid to them, were they ever supposed to survive?
Bureaucrats have poisoned that goodwill.
You see how I play the sound bites a little bit longer, right?
Why, were you napping?
The average soundbite is 4 seconds long. They use it as an...
Greg, just because you're filling your show with other people's content, you don't get points for that. I stop as often as I do so that I can't get hit by a copyright strike for the shit that I do show.
Emotional exclamation point. I think we need to let these things breathe. I hope you don't mind. Let me know if you think they're going on too long, but this stuff...
Yeah, they'll let you know. They'll write you a letter. They don't have shit to do.
Needs to be heard. And we checked it out. He's absolutely right about JFK and that executive order. There was no outrage about anti-democracy then. It is all...
Yeah, because people didn't rely on it. It was brand new. And then it was funded by the government in the budget.
All crazily rigged. It's so superficial and shallow when you think about it. Just...
No wonder you feel so at home.
Anything Republican, or worse, anything MAGA, must be a threat to democracy. All right, next, please.
Also, I would like some proof that Trump or Elon Musk are MAGA. Because I think Elon Musk, the evidence shows that he and his mother particularly are still grinding about the end of apartheid, blame America, and want to bleed the place dry and build their own coffers where they could just live anywhere. They don't give a shit. Why would I believe this asshole actually cares about the country? If he did, he wouldn't come in and immediately shut off food aid for people or screw up farm programs. He would go through it carefully. They wouldn't just come in and pull a goddamn switch, especially if you're supposed to be so fucking smart. If you've got AI and you've got all this kind of stuff, wouldn't you use it to comb through stuff and go, okay, here's the isolated stuff. We can shave this much off of it. But basically you have him and Trump going, fuck this place and fuck these people. If they die, they die. Like, that's really what this is about. So prove to me they're fucking MAGA. I don't buy it. I happen to be MAG for those that are interested. Make America great. I think greatness, like perfection, is a road, not a destination, and it certainly doesn't mean going backwards. So the idea that these assholes actually are quote unquote MAGA or America first is citation needed, is what I'll say.
This is another speech you got to watch, folks. J.D. Vance, what a gift. What an act of brilliance and kind of generosity in a way for Donald Trump.
Generosity? Sorry, so it's an act of generosity so that Trump doesn't have to fly to Munich?
To pick this man for all of us.
Oh, you mean gay men who have Indian wives as beards? I mean, I didn't realize, Greg, what your situation was, but hey, right on. More power to you.
Terrific. And he went over there to the Munich conference in Europe. The audience was not digging him, but we were. Maybe they didn't like it, but they needed to hear it. Europe has become one of the crazily kind of socialist, anti-democratic places on earth. And he goes right into the belly.
Yeah, no, it hasn't. No, it has not. And also, Europe is a lot of different countries with a lot of different issues, stupid.
Belly of the beast, and he tells him that.
The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor.
Because you support them, eyeliner.
And what I worry about is the threat from within. The retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values shared with the United States of America. Now, I was struck that a former European commissioner went on television recently and sounded delighted that the Romanian government had just annulled an entire election. He warned that if things don't go to plan, the very same thing could happen in Germany, too. Now, these cavalier statements are shocking
to any Andrew Tate fan.
To American ears. For years, we've been told that everything we fund and support is in the name of our shared democratic values. Everything from our Ukraine policy to digital censorship is billed as a defense of democracy.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it is. But what you expect is, again, Trump's always making this point that there's an ocean between us and Europe and us and Russia and us and Ukraine. The European countries don't have that, and they are specifically being influenced, I would argue, illegally by Russia. They are attempting to manipulate the electorate, and you do not have a responsibility in the name of democracy and free speech to allow that to happen. Now, I think we should be more overt in pushing back against it. Anytime somebody's throwing around the Russia stuff, we have a responsibility to go, why are you Russia first? You can dismiss it with your Marsha bullshit, but this is Russia first policy you're presenting. And I wouldn't back down from that, and nor should anyone. But I think people do. I think they kind of either they let them say the Russia thing and then they go quiet in response to it. I think it's primarily the 2 points they've got to talk to these assholes about is that Trump himself and arguably J.D. Vance are very Russia first in their policy, both towards Ukraine and Europe by and large. And I don't know why, because if you're looking at like who's going to be able to scratch your back in the future, it's not going to be Russia. At this point, it's almost, in Trump's case, it's this kind of borderline like racial superiority thing, like the beauty of Russian women and the strength of the Russian men, and they are white and kind of perceived as Christian, right? That's where they found a way to lock in a section of MAGA as being pro-Russia, and they just stick to it. And you're like, why not Germany or fucking the Czech Republic or you know?
But when we see European courts canceling elections and senior officials threatening to cancel others, we ought to ask whether we're holding ourselves to an appropriately high standard.
Well, I think it's great. And he's...
I saw that clip, and I liked it. I think.
Right. I didn't know that about Romania. Did you?
Yes, of course I did. I watched the fucking speech, stupid. What do you mean? You just told us how good the fucking speech was, and then apparently you're hearing this part for the first time? You're turning me into Jerry Seinfeld. Why are you such a moron? How can anyone be this stupid? You don't watch any of your clips. Don't tell me you're letting them roll. You forgot to hit stop, you dumb motherfucker.
They canceled an election. They canceled an election over Russian interference.
Yes, they did. Right. Yes. End of story. Like, by the way, you're supposed to go, they canceled it over Russian interference, and that's terrible or wrong or something. But you can't because it's true. There was Russian interference, and they went, fuck you, we get a redo. Our people will vote again. Dipshit. Oh, my God. Chat room, hit that like, will you? It's Hal Sparks, Mega Worldwide. I'm Hal Sparks. Welcome. Good evening, good day, and good afternoon. Whenever you're watching this, whether it's live or later on, Super Chats, always welcome. Great support, and I appreciate you guys a bunch. And, oh, is my... I guess not. Do I not have... Yeah, hold on. I do not have the Venmo in this thing. That's terrible. I should. Payow! That's a little much. I think that's overdoing it, personally. I'll put this down here and squeaky it down. Just do a little housekeeping. I can feng shui my set. It's a holiday. God damn it. And yeah, there we go. Put this over here. Actually, I think probably, yeah, maybe, I don't know, should I rotate it? Nah, we'll just leave it like that. This is fine. It's fine. I know. Here, up here. That way I don't cover up what you guys are saying. There we go. So la-di-da, thanks so much. And then, I've got to add it to the vertical one so that the people on where is it? Instagram, you guys got to be able to help too. Well, that's very big. Instagram, see that thing? Like, you can buy me a cup of coffee, will you? Pam Johnson, do you have a Venmo account? I might. I don't know. I'll have to check. I'm fairly certain I do. We shall see. You think it should be left of my head? My left or your left? Like here or here? Up here? Put it up in the corner. Then my head goes behind it. I don't think that's not classy. I'll tell you what. I'll put it behind my head. That way, if I move in front of it, how about that? That way, you'll have to like look for your moment. Okay, that's enough. All right, let me move on to the next thing.